Post-traumatic stress is a natural reaction to an abnormal situation. Having PTSD does not mean that someone is weak, permanently damaged, or crazy. Trauma is something that happens to a person. Traumatic symptoms can look like those of a mental illness, but they are not the same. Just coping, trying to change behavior, or talking about trauma does not resolve it. Psychiatrist Dr. Louis Tinnen and art therapist Dr. Linda Gant worked with traumatized people for over 30 years. They saw how bodies and brains react to trauma in a predictable and understandable way. They named it the Instinctual Trauma Response, also known as ITR. The predictable stages are the startle, a thwarted attempt to fight or flee, the freeze, an altered state of consciousness, automatic obedience, and attempts at self-repair. Throughout the stages are body sensations that can turn into body memories. Aches and pains from a trauma can become aches and pains many years later. But because their origin has been forgotten, doctors are mystified why they can't find something to treat. Understanding how the normal brain works is the key to understanding what happens in trauma. For an infant, the right hemisphere of the brain is more active than the left hemisphere. But when children are 2 or 3 years old, they start to speak. The two hemispheres become connected and operate as a whole brain, with the left hemisphere becoming dominant. In general, the left hemisphere houses the verbal brain, which is responsible for logic, problem-solving, executive functioning, sequence, and time. The right hemisphere is more creative, artistic, and emotional. It uses intuition and gut feelings. It also runs our bodies and experiences things in present time. Our right hemisphere fuels our creativity and emotions, while the left hemisphere gets us through work or school. We use both sides every day. During a trauma, the verbal brain goes offline. As the body is flooded with different hormones, traumatic memories are stored on the right side of the brain, fragmenting the experience and leaving a person without words for much of what happened. Long after trauma is over, triggers will still be active in the right brain as fragments of the trauma without context. Trauma leaves the right side of the brain more active and the left side less active. That's why just talking about the trauma story or trying to change behavior with willpower alone won't resolve symptoms. Drugs won't either, although they may temporarily take the edge off anxiety or depression. The Instinctual Trauma Response Method is a treatment informed by core principles of art therapy, narrative therapy, and parts therapy. It helps the person recode the traumatic memories, like a computer, when files of memory are moved from one computer to another. The ITR process reorganizes trauma fragments into a linear sequence, making a beginning, middle, and end. This pairs these images and words, putting an end to the story. The brain can now process the memory and finally understand the traumatic event is over. This memory integration greatly reduces or eliminates the symptoms and body memories caused by the event and allows a person to go on with life without feeling stuck by the past. The Instinctual Trauma Response Method, or ITR, is a systematic, integrated treatment that does not involve reliving a trauma. It works with the brain the way the brain works. We don't ask what's wrong with someone, we ask what happened to them. No matter what someone's diagnosis is, we treat the trauma first and see what's left. Dr. Tinnen often said, of all the psychiatric disorders, the ones related to trauma are the most treatable. For more information, visit us at helpfortrauma.com.